number 7. Here we go again. My name's Dan Brennan. I'm here with the illustrious Alicia Long, ladies and gentlemen. How is everyone out there? Alicia, how are you?
Ooh, I'm really good. I felt really compelled to woo multiple times throughout that intro.
I know I came in a bit heavy there, didn't I?
Me. No, I loved it.
Yeah, during the warm-ups, I was very conservative, but now I'm fired up. I'm ready for it.
It's lucky number 7. We're getting wild now.
It is, and I don't want to spoil the magic, but it's been a while since we've seen each other. It's been like 3 weeks, and I just wanted to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you miss me? And then I'll answer the question.
I'm going to be really sentimental. Actually, I genuinely missed you.
Oh.
Because I had this thought. I was like, oh man, I think I missed podcasting. It's been a while since we recorded. And then I was like, wait, it's also just been a while since I've seen Dan. I think maybe
secondary
I just
to the podcast. Okay, that sounds like a 7.
Well, no, I realized that it was more I just missed hanging out with you. I had so many stories I wanted to tell you.
I know. I do my best though. Anytime I'm hanging out with someone I send you pictures of them.
Yeah,
just to feed the FOMO, which I think is cruel of me, really. But
yeah, I do love it, but I do get a bit of FOMO. But I love these little pictures. I do.
Yeah. Okay. So is that a keep them coming or be more selective?
As long as you're not having too much fun.
Right. Okay.
You can't be. Yeah. You can't. Maybe no videos, but pictures are fine.
I think that's fine. I think I'm going to cut back on the fun. I'm feeling really beat up these days. So
yeah, I was also thinking. I don't know if I have to cut back on the fun, but I think I have to cut back on telling stories about the fun I have on this podcast. Because I think that every story I tell, I think involves alcohol a little bit.
Well, you're a much more well-rounded person than that, and I don't know if that shone through to the audience yet.
Yeah, it's just a lot of my other qualities that happen in isolation, I guess.
Yeah, but you do get out and about. Where have you been?
I once again have been taking in comedy. Shocker.
Right. Yeah.
I went to see Mike Birbiglia a few weeks
amazing.
ago.
That's amazing. How was that?
It was really awesome, but there was a medical emergency.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I have to give a shout out to my friend Tamara, first of all, because she was the one who initiated getting tickets for both Alana Glazer and Mike Birbiglia.
Go on,
Tamara.
Out to Tamara.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So this was over May 2-4 weekend, which is a testament to how long it's been since we've seen each other, I guess. But,
yeah.
So he had like 4 shows going on. It was like, I think a show on the Friday, 2 shows on the Saturday, and then a show on the Sunday at Massey Hall. And we had talked about getting tickets like months ago when the shows were first announced, but we were like, it's just not going to work out. There are lots of other shows we're getting tickets for and whatever. So we kind of like last minute, like the week of, we were like, okay, well, we still don't really have like plans on these days if we can like swing it. Do you want to go catch one of these shows? So we ended up getting tickets to the earlier show on the Saturday for like $20.
Right.
Like really cheap.
That is really cheap.
Yeah. The tickets would have been like $60 on the Sunday and I just want to give a shout out to Massey Hall because they are selling tickets through their own website.
Oh, good for them.
Not going through Ticketmaster, which I think is cool.
Just a shout out to Massey Hall in general. I'd love to earn the right to play there one day.
Yeah.
What a historic venue. Carry on.
I was on one of the last nights, maybe the last show before they shut down for renovations, which was an Alt J show.
Oh.
With the aforementioned Tamara and my brother Kevin.
Right.
And it was an awesome show. I've seen Alt J like twice live, and they are awesome live.
I
Highly
love a
recommend.
good live band.
Oh yeah, they have them as members are really like low vibes, like chill. So they have a lot of really cool visuals and like lighting things.
Oh, I like it.
But anyways, I digress. Back to Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah, and the medical emergency. Did we just gloss over that?
No, I was going to return to it. So we went to the earlier show.
Right.
And it was at I think it started at like 6 or 6:30. So the medical emergency probably happened like half an hour, 45 minutes in. And we waited for a while. It was tense for a while. Like nobody really knew what was going on.
Right.
Like just a bunch of people rushed over, like whatever. And then it kind of became clear, wasn't like nobody was dead, you know?
Yeah.
And then so this lady got taken out on a stretcher. But at this point it was probably around 7, 7:15. So we were still kind of should we leave? Is it worth it? There's another show after this. Like, do you think he's even going to come on out again?
Right.
And I even kind of went up to like one of the ushers and I was like, what time was this supposed to end at? And he said like 7:30 or something.
Oh.
But we're like, well, let's just stay. And like, we ended up hopping back up to like super front row. And then Mike Birbiglia, so the lady got, I think it was a lady, whoever it was, got taken out on a stretcher, like gave a little like wave to everyone to like show that they were okay. So like that was all good. And then he came back out, like finished off the show, like made a few jokes about it, like really like broke the tension and like, oh, he's so good.
Yeah.
I really adore Mike Birbiglia. I haven't paid it, like, I have this really bad habit of being fans of people early on in their careers. And then the more they do, I kind of stop paying attention to them.
I think there's something about a fresh comedian. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find eventually all comics kind of get into the just talking about their like rich and fancy famous lifestyle. And I'm like, I don't find that all that relatable.
Dana Carvey does this great impression of the angry East Coast comic that you have to look up. He does it on Conan, right? Like, you know, it really grinds my gears.
Oh, yeah.
Spatulas. Like, he's got nothing left to bitch about. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, look, after listening to this podcast, you can go and look up that.
Yeah, don't click away yet. But so I had seen Mike Birbiglia live before during JFL 42, like years ago. I saw him do one of his specials, and then Tamara and I, again, went to see a Q&A of his. And so the special that we saw then was the one where he talks about his daughter being born. Yeah. And then, and I haven't watched any of his specials since then. Like, shame on me. Like, I've watched some of his podcast stuff before, whatever. But, and then in this one, he's talking about how his daughter is like 8 years old. Right. Like, oh my gosh, the passage of time. But he was still so good. Like I find he's so good at just getting to like the heart of the matter. Like he's really good at highlighting the humanity of things. Like by the end of it, we were all crying. Like
I know that's not what people. I know
that's not what people want from comedy all the time. But I love when you can have laughter as much as tears.
It's something that's different in comedy now. One of my favorite comedians, a British comedian, Stuart Lee, he talks about his wife went to see another comedian, you know, and he goes, "How was the show?" And she goes, "Oh, he talked about his dead dad. We cried the whole way through." And he's like, "That's not, you know." But I get that there's a place for that in comedy. Yeah. I want people to leave chanting my name. No, cheering.
Well, to me, I'm more likely to chant your name if we could do all that. Like, I think a lot of what I think a side effect of comedy is that there's a lot of catharsis in it. It's like a good way of like moving emotion through your body. So when you can kind of have those highs and those lows of like laughing and crying, it's like...
Yeah. You need the dynamics. You need the range of emotion. I get you. Yeah. I get you.
Anyways, that was a lot. That felt like a bit of therapy there. So
did it?
I feel like I gotta toss it over to you and see where you've been.
We're gonna... look, we've eaten up a good chunk of our intro. It's going to be a long intro, folks. Buckle up.
We can cut
my kids were in town. My kids are 14 and 12. And the boys, we have a little group called the Brennan Boys. It makes me very happy. Aww. It just says Brennan Boys. It annoys me that they didn't know enough to put the in front. But
I'm assuming they made it for you. You had no say in the naming of the group?
Well, I tried to set a group up, and my youngest kept messaging me and going, "There's only one of us on this group. There's only one." I'm like... But we had an absolutely fantastic time. My oldest boy, it was his birthday on the Monday before they arrived. He turned 14, and my dad turned 75. Shout out to Eddie Brennan, 75, not out, still going strong. So we had a really nice party. We had a really good time. We went to the aquarium. My youngest boy, though, is a complete and utter terrorist. I did this joke on stage, so I don't mean to repeat it, but I say he calls me Daniel Elizabeth Brennan.
I love that.
And then the punchline is
love that so much.
So he's taking the divorce well, you know. But nice. Yeah, he messaged me as soon as he got home and said, "I changed your name in my phone to Lizzie."
So he takes after you, is what you're saying.
Dude, like my oldest boy is funny in a different way, but with the youngest boy, and I'm deliberately trying not to say their names because protection and all that. But he's funny in a different way too. Like we went into the aquarium by train, so there's like 3, maybe 4 stops before you get to Clarkson, and by the time we got to Clarkson, you know how the guy comes across with the announcement, and he goes, "Next stop, Clarkson." And then he says Clarkson again, right? So my boy's like, "Next stop, Clarkson." He goes, "Where?" The guy says Clarkson.
Remix.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It made me laugh my head off. And the
how old is
aquarium.
he?
He's 12.
12. Wow. Love that.
Yeah. Complete and utter terrorist. They both are. No, it was really good. I'm going to have them back in August. We're renting a place to get... So everybody has a bed, and we're going to have a really, really good time. And I'm getting to see them like every 2 or 3 months now, so I'm really, really happy about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess we should maybe get on to the interview.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Did you have more to say?
No.
Okay. We're going to end up cutting some stuff here, so like part of my stuff. So.
No, I don't think so. I think it's been good so far. I don't think it's dragged. If the audience wants to write in and say, yeah, that dragged, keep it short, get to the interview.
Yeah.
This week.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So, Dan, who did you bring to me this time?
I brought you a dear old friend of mine from the Hamilton comedy scene, the co-owner of Backroom Comedy in Toronto and a stand-up comedian as well, Brandon Sobel.
Yeah, so now big Toronto season.
Yeah, and you'll have to listen to a big edit coming up in this interview because Brandon, and I mean this with great admiration, is the consummate salesman. And it took Alicia and I about 25 minutes to figure out that we were being sold to.
Well, I wasn't thinking I was being sold to because I thought, by virtue of the fact he was on the podcast. We're already, But
the whole time I'm like, why is he asking us open-ended questions? The salesman's trick, right? And then closing us down. But then we got it figured out and we had a really good chat.
Yeah, it was a great time.
And he was trying to sell us on Backroom Comedy.
I love Backroom Comedy. That's
You're
the thing.
already
I didn't
sold.
Have to be, I didn't have to be. Yeah,
that's right. That's why we had him on to promote that fantastic.
And
room.
I also love that he is very business minded. Like I like talking to him about those things. And
yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, we shouldn't talk too much.
It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, no, it's funny how he classified his business, what it is he actually does. McDonald's. They say they don't sell hamburgers. They sell entertainment. Right? If you ever go to a board meeting at McDonald's, that's the kind of things they say.
Good to know.
And then I yell out, "Have the Shamrock Shake all year round."
That's good advice, though.
That is really good
that's
advice.
That's what the people want. I've
and
heard
they're
many
like,
people say that.
"Sir, you don't own shares in the company. Get out."
Yeah,
Anyways,
Dan, a man of the people.
That's it. I found my issue, and I'm fighting for it. But please enjoy this interview with Brandon Sobel. Well, here we are again in our undisclosed location for cocktail hour in Toronto. Alicia, today I've brought for our entertainment an old friend of mine from Hamilton who now lives in Toronto, the fabulous, the well-known, the hilarious Brandon Sobel.
Wait.
Oh, he's got complaints already.
That's all. You were just like, don't talk yet. I'm going to catch up with my friend Alicia. Wait. And then you just immediately were like, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's all I needed.
Didn't say comedian.
That was the
Didn't say funny.
that was
He
the
said
most
my friend.
professional introduction you've given.
Do you want me to do it over?
Shitting on Dan. Cocktail hour.
That's what this show is about.
Okay.
I think the listeners can tell there's going to be a different tempo to this interview than one's past. Brandon, do you remember when we met? You don't remember when we met.
Feels like you've always been in my life.
Oh, I love that.
That's
Wait,
so
in a
sweet.
good way or a bad way?
No,
Like you've
good
always
way.
been haunting and stalking me.
No, because he's so jolly and delightful, but it
Yeah.
does feel like just at some point. You ever see Big Mouth?
Yeah.
You're like my
I don't know who
puberty-
Big Mouth is.
You're like that puberty monster.
I will have to look that up and see if I'm
That's
offended
great.
by that. We did an interview with Manolis. He started with I didn't like you at first. So this is actually much warmer.
I never not liked you. You just knew what you wanted. You started comedy at an age where like you're not a child. You're funny. It's not like it's one of those things. Do you know what I'm saying? You can get momentum going fairly quickly, and you're very funny and very
thanks,
charming.
buddy.
I'm gonna stop complimenting you soon because it's whatever.
great.
But off the bat, it's like, yeah, wouldn't you be? Look at you right now doing comedy, not as long as Manolis was then.
Yeah.
But now someone your age then comes in and starts trying to build momentum.
Yeah.
And build their career. Would you like them?
No, I think I now that I'm 9 years in, I find that I try to be very nice and generous with my time to the newbies, but there are times where I just want to be left alone. Do you know what I mean? Like I when I walk off stage, I don't want to instantly discuss my set with someone who I probably think isn't going to be in comedy in 6 months. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel that. I don't want to. The worst is talking about their sets. That's the worst.
Yeah.
I'll talk about my set all day, but their set, oh man.
God, he hit the nail on the head there. I have to say, no. Like, people start asking questions. Just like there's just certain times where either you're about to go on stage or you're coming off stage, where you just want to absorb it, right? You want to be in the moment, and then someone going, "Did you do that joke different than you did last week?" You know, it's just it really takes you out of the moment.
Manolis' path, like, again, we'll talk about this later, I guess, in the pod, but everyone's paths are different in comedy.
Yeah.
So as long as I've known Manolis, it's not like he ran a show. He's just always been a G. That's just really.
That's a
he's
good
been
point,
like the
actually.
godfather of, for at least for me, of Hamilton comedy. So for you, it's like you run a show, so you have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
That's
actually
being a producer and being a
Manolis has it
comedian.
so easy compared to me. I get it. I see it. No,
So
let me go
Brandon-
back to the beginning.
Brandon, did you start before dance?
Oh, absolutely. You were probably a good 4 years
I
in
started.
before.
Okay, so I guess the question is how long have I been doing comedy?
Yeah.
So I started in 2012.
Wow.
But I didn't. If you're going to ask me for real, how long have I been taking comedy serious? Let's go with like 8 years.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
Like,
Yeah,
let's
and
go
then
with
put that
Did you-
unfortunate pandemic in the middle of that.
No, but that's when like the pandemic, when most people had the worst time ever. It restarted my whole life. Like I wouldn't have what I have today without the pandemic.
Really?
Real talk. Like
So you started it.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
I didn't start it, but I don't want to say
You
I enjoyed
benefited
it.
from it.
I lost my grandma at the beginning of it, and from that, like that's how Bubby's Boys started.
Right,
Right.
right.
So it's
right,
like I
right.
used what she called me and my cousins, like a couple of us. We were Bubby's Boys, and then I made it into a brand. You know,
Yeah.
as a people of my culture, I monetized my grandmother's death and made it profitable.
It's kind of you to draw the connection without me having to do so.
Yeah. And then-
Anyways, we
Yeah.
met, and the reason I remember this because I was
so
probably I was 6 months in. It was a magical time in Hamilton.
So what year was this?
Comedy. We're talking. God, I don't know. I wouldn't have a clue what year it was. What year is it now? It's 2024 now, so 9 years ago,
2013.
2013. So I was about 6 months in.
2015? Sorry, I'm
I
good at
think
math, but
One
I used
thing
to do
about this
Kumon,
I get,
but
podcast,
this
the
one-
math
this
has
is like
never
the
been-
third
just
time
agreed.
in a
You just
row we've
nodded.
tried to do math.
No, he just nodded at me. Like,
Yeah.
this is
Well,
like,
I've been in
yeah.
comedy for 9 years. It would have been 8.5 years ago. So what's that?
Okay.
That's 2015
Let's do
for
that.
argument's
Don't
sake.
make me do math.
If I
No,
could
we
paint
do
the
that. That's
picture,
about
if
right.
I could paint the picture, it was a magical time in Hamilton where if you were willing to travel to London, you could do a show in London at 7 and come back. And if you were booked right, and if you were booked at Levity on a Wednesday, you could end up doing. There was another show I can't remember. There was also Cloud9, which you could get on every once in a while at the vape shop. But if you worked your tail off and the stars aligned, you could end up at Lou Dogs at 11:30 midnight for your fourth set of the night. Like that's like New York level of getting out and doing it.
That's
You
real
know what I
comedy.
mean?
That's a real.
That's real
That's
comedy.
life. That's like.
How
that's
much
yeah.
driving is that?
Well, it's London and back, and then just around Hamilton.
Into Hamilton?
Yeah,
Wow.
so 2.5 hours to London and back.
You can walk from Levity to.
But I'll come back to that point in a minute, though, about
Dogs?
cruising out of town. But so we met at Lou Dogs.
Is it still open?
You introduced yourself
Wait,
to me
is
at the
Lou
bar.
Dogs still open?
No, it's
I
gone.
was gonna shout them out. That's all.
No, no,
gonna go try their wings.
they've become a British pub again.
Oh, you
It's,
love that, eh?
Not really. No.
What about for football?
I've got a place for football.
Okay,
thanks.
I'll stop.
Yeah.
No, I want to talk more about me. Let's hear how we met. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll stop. I'm sorry.
This part of the origin story takes so long to get up. So, anyways, we're at Lou Dogs. I was at the bar. I don't think I'd ever really seen you before around the scene, but I introduced myself to you. And AJ Bate goes, You don't know Brandon Sobel? Where are you even doing comedy in Hamilton or something to that effect? And I'm like, oh my God.
That's lovely of AJ Bate.
Yeah, and we've been thick as thieves ever since, I would say.
That's why I say 8 years and not the 12.
Yeah.
Because like at that point in my life, it wasn't. I got hit by a car in 2014.
Right.
So like I was
Holy
doing
shit.
comedy every day for 2 years, like as much like when you said 4 sets and I saw the joy in your eyes.
Yeah.
It's like I remember having that joy.
Yeah.
And then I got hit by the car and then life kind of got crazy. So from there I had to reevaluate.
Right.
Because comedy, as much fun as it is, it's not it's two things. It's not going to pay your bills and it's not going to make you happy. It's going to be a temporary. It's like doing drugs or having sex or eating something delicious.
Yeah.
It's not the same as what. So the car accident made me realize that, and then because I was popping pills,
Right.
and I was watching reality TV, and I was watching all these like Property Brothers and all these shows. So I was like, oh, at the time my dad owned a wedding dress store in Hamilton.
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, if you buy the house from me, I'll give you the dress for free. That was the whole like, I'm a genius. This is what I'm gonna do. But I got to go to school and figure that out so I can film my own stuff.
Right.
And then so that's why I say the 8 because there's like a 4-year gap of still doing shows, still having Amsterdam every 2 weeks or every week.
Yep.
Still doing shows, still doing 1 or 2 sets a week. But it's like if you look at comedy like a gym. You sure people go to. I don't go to the gym twice a week. I'm sure people that do or feel good about it. But those people that go 8 times a week.
Yeah.
Those wrestlers that make it a job.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just the reality. So then that's why I say that. So when I met you, I do remember that night. What I do when I meet people is I ask if they want to partake in a cigarette. Cannabis, and we hit it
Nice.
off ever since.
It's a
In the
great
middle
way
of
to make
Hess Village.
friends.
In the middle, wasn't there dispensaries all over the place at that point?
No, the illegal dispensaries hadn't arrived just yet
Okay,
at
so
that
it was right
point. So it was a
before the
couple
move.
years, yeah. A couple
Okay,
years
so even
before
then
that.
I was doing comedy a lot.
But going
not
back to
really.
that idea of leaving London, I really loved that time in Hamilton comedy. And I know this makes me sound like maybe a grumpy old man talking about the good old days. But there was literally a spot at Dundurn and the 403. You know that spot there,
Staircase?
right? No. Where the McDonald's meets the Tim Hortons.
Okay.
And you would arrive, and there'd be like 2 or 3 cars of comics
remember
leaving
that.
town.
No, that's
Oh,
true.
wow.
So there'd be like Michael Moses, right, and a couple of the more senior comics, and we'd be like, "Oh, we're going to do the Starving Artist up in Brantford to maybe 2 people," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm off to Comedy Bar, guys."
That's just wild.
Yeah, and it wasn't a very long period of time, but that was my introduction to Hamilton comedy. That's how you did comedy.
Those guys grind, man.
you
Moses is an inspiration to anyone who wants to do stand-up.
100%. Like you couldn't be a cool kid in Hamilton comedy back then
You still
without
can't
grinding.
be a cool kid.
Well,
in
I
Hamilton.
can't be a cool
I don't
kid.
know
'cause I'm
what
not a kid.
Hamilton. Real talk. I'm just talking shit because I haven't been there.
I'd say like Scott's workshop has
Scott's
been.
a cool kid.
Yeah, Scott Falkovich is definitely. He's a cool dad.
One of those kids.
No, last time I saw him, he was wearing a leather jacket and I think a fedora. So going back to answer, I didn't try to. This is hilarious. Talking to you guys and like having a mirror. I know I proposed like as a salesman first. Okay, I know I proposed a question that wasn't answerable.
Yeah.
And then now I get to be like, well, I have the. Where can you go?
Wait, what even
practice
was the
jokes?
question?
The
We've
question
meandered
was,
so many places.
where was the middle ground between like?
Where can you go?
Oh, right.
And then it's
I don't know. If
backroom-
I lived in Toronto, I know where I would go.
Yeah, but you're good at comedy. So the way we do it,
Oh.
it's like at Backroom Comedy Club, Friday and Saturday are pro shows.
So
They're all
maybe we
pro
should
shows.
introduce this to the listeners. Not only are you a comedian, I think they figured out by now that you are one half of the management team behind Backroom Comedy. And I apologize. We should mention that you're also repping the Bubby's Boy brand.
I slipped it in earlier.
Yeah, I saw that. But yeah. So
Boys
like when
presents.
you're on tour, it's Bubby's Boys on tour, right?
Well, it's all
Yeah.
Bubby's Boys. It's all the
Yeah.
umbrella because like what we are is we're a ticketing company.
Right.
Like, you can say we're a comedy club. You can say we're a comedy gym. You can say whatever you want to say. We sell tickets. That's the market.
I love it.
Hopefully
I love
we'll
it.
have merch one day. We're fortunate enough to make a little bit of money on the bar, like a little, you know. But it's like. It's just you work really hard, energy out, energy in.
Yeah.
You know? So we hit the ground running after COVID. We realized that like we were hungry. There was an outdoor venue, 120 people. I don't know if you did Cannabis Court or heard of it.
No.
It was like you could smoke weed outside. This was right after COVID, like the summer
So like 2020.
2020.
2020.
But they let
Oh,
us out.
after the first
Yeah,
right.
they
lockdown.
let us
Oh,
outside.
wow. Okay.
When we had the dip.
So when they let us outside, we did a show of like 120 people, sold it out. Then the next month we did it. First of all, to build suspense, like our brand at first, we didn't know what it was. So it was like smoke weed Jews. That's just the brand. And then
And you had never had you like collaborated on anything like this prior to COVID?
so Ariel, like I've told this story millions of times. If you guys want to hear the origin story with Ariel, like I'll tell you guys privately off because it's one of the best. Long story short, Ariel got a standing ovation at the end of his set at Bramsterdam,
Right.
in a room full of people, like a crowded room of stoners. I've never seen it in my life, minus Mike Rita.
Yeah.
Ariel got a standing ovation, so we became best friends immediately. Not best friends, but I respected him. And then over time, it's like we're both Jews. Oh, we both grew up in a city that didn't have many Jews, and most, Oh, we both of our dads were cokeheads. Oh, we're both premature. And it was just all these
Lots of
It was just too much. So we became
Connections.
best friends. And then from there, it was just like the sky's the limit. So we did a show, the two of us and then two other people right before COVID. It was in a theater in like, I couldn't even tell you where, like the brewery district, if that makes sense. And it was, instead of doing one show of 100 people, we did 4 shows that brought in 25 people each. And we were just, the other two guys, just again, they're still friends. Just the two of us just hit it off. I was selling credit cards. He was like, why are you selling credit cards to other people when you can sell tickets for us? And then look at our place like a restaurant. I'm the front of the house. He's the back of the house. He does the graphics. He does the banking. I do I'll book the hosts. I'll do the bar. I'll make the posts on social media. I talk to the customers. Like you've seen it.
Yeah.
And it's just what we've built is like a gym where it's like, fast forward till now. We're open Wednesday. We're open Mondays now. I have monthly shows. If
Do you?
If you want a monthly show, I guess you can't do Monday because of Lion's Head, but I can send you dates.
Lion's Head's only one Monday a month.
I can do a monthly on a Monday. Let's talk about this after.
We'll talk about
No, commit to it right now. Put it in writing, signature.
This is the way we do
I give
things.
5%.
Where it's like we just ran. It's like we wanted to be the best comedians ever, and the only way you become the best comedians ever, and you listen to the greats and hear them talk, is stage time. You want to get on as much as possible. You want to get on an hour a week at least. So how do you do that? Like, we live in Toronto, but I'm not running. I'm fucking 39. Like I wasn't then, but I'm not running. I'm not hating on it.
Yeah.
Just like in my world, what do I do? I'm not good enough to go on tour. What do I do to get better? I put on shows. At this point, we put on 5 or 6 shows a week, different parts of the city. People would ask us, when's your next show? Instead of being like, what area do you live? It was like, it was like a laundry list of bullshit.
Yeah.
So we were like, we need a permanent location. We had another place for one night only. It went down in flames. Like it didn't actually, but the relationship went up poorly. I told him to not give up and find us a new place, and I wouldn't let him get depressed. And I was like, find us a new place. We've worked too hard. And then he wouldn't let me get depressed, and he got me to sell tickets. And the rest is history.
Nice.
Well, and absolutely, and what a great location on Bloor Street, too far for Christy Pitts.
But the guys that run the actual bar upstairs, it's the greatest thing fucking ever.
You have to have a great relationship with your venue or you're fucked.
Yeah. And did you approach them and they just had an empty basement and you were like, can we get in there?
Is like, again, I can say things like this now because it's been 2 years, and our business model, we utilize dead space. So if you have a space in a restaurant or a bar or something's not being utilized, that's why we just
it's a great pitch for him. It's a great pitch for them because they're paying rent on that space.
They're paying rent on it, so you might as well charge. I can't talk about this now.
And just for any venues out there that might be listening, the key to having a great relationship is to understand the roles. We're the comedians. We're booking the show. We're taking care of the entertainment and the comedy aspect. You run your restaurant. You run your bar.
Yeah, but even look at that as other comedians, where it's like, look at it like any job, but we'll use comedy because that's what we're talking about. Is like know your role. Use the sports analogy. If I'm playing keeper, you're playing defense, and I come out to save you, we're getting. I hate using your sport as an analogy. I just know that's the only way you'll listen to me.
It's my sport. That's great. That's great.
You know how to keep his attention.
I'm a bit of an eclectic man. If you wanted to throw in a basketball reference, I might get it. Okay,
yeah, but even still, it's just that reference makes the most sense, And it was just it's an honor to work with Ariel. We complement each other super well because on the surface we have so much in common, but then behind the scenes, you've hung out with us. We're not. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. I don't drink anymore. I'll do it on special occasions. But
So just to illuminate it a little bit further, the format of the gym is that you book it based on people show up, and you build the lineup from there. People drop in. That's what it's called, drop in.
So we book hosts.
Yeah, we book hosts, which I've hosted. I don't know if you knew that, Alicia.
We have a manager.
Been there, seen it. Yeah. I was there.
We have a manager, but then he's there to oversee people.
Yeah.
So then we have people to make.
Is that Big Mo?
Easier. Big Mo, yeah.
Big
Shout
Mo
out
loves
Big Mo.
me. Big Mo's a great guy.
He literally messaged me and was like, you're doing that today? Make sure you say hi.
Dude, the last time I was there...
No one said hi to Alicia,
Yeah,
by the way. Just
geez. I guess I'll have to show up more.
I get why Ashley didn't, kind of, because I don't know if you guys have met, kind of making it weird because that's my brand. But with
Yeah.
Mo,
I don't
Mo
think
should've
we've
said
met,
hi.
yeah.
He should have.
Jeez. I totally know who you're talking about.
That shout out, Big Mo. I'll have a chat with you the next time I'm through. All right. No, he's a good guy. He was so excited to see me. He's like, I love it when you're here. So like, I mean,
he reaches out. He doesn't understand.
That's good producing. You know what I mean?
Get that I have to make people wait. Like I don't have to.
Yeah.
But it's like anything else. It's just like I want to bring you in every 3-6 weeks. If I bring you in every week, I'm sure it's a good experience for all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's like it makes like everyone gets a turn. What I'm trying to do with this place, without sounding super lame, I made a comedy club that I never had. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like I give people chances. I have show running spots.
Yeah.
People get on for running the show.
Yeah.
I have barking spot. I have an open barking spot right now. If you bring 4 people in, I'll put you on. You bring more than 4 people, I'll pay you per ticket. You know, like we need X amount of tickets to run the place, but after that, like there's money for everybody.
Barking's fun.
It's fun for guys like me and you
because we're in sales. That's who we are. That's so right, man. That's so right. Yes, it's unbelievably aggressive sales.
Barking's just like it's such a trait. Like it's so yesterday.
You've either got it or you don't. You know what I mean?
Ash and I heard out these guys that were selling mutual funds in like Primerica, like a business even, and it was just to hear them talk is like. Man, any sales job's a sales job.
Yeah.
Like with us,
Sub in
it ends in
anything.
comedy. Where with them, it ends with like, so you have any money to invest? Or like, oh, you're looking for a business opportunity?
Yeah.
It's crazy. The way the world, not hating.
Everything needs to be sold. Everything needs to be sold, especially in the digital age where buyers have to find you. But we don't need to go too deep into that on this podcast.
With Ario,
but listen, I wanted to just compliment the club and say I think it's great that there's a place to drop in right on Bloor Street. So if you're at Comedy Bar, if you were up the street somewhere else, do you know what I mean?
You have a chance to get
that whole idea of being able to get in a couple reps in one night is great, you know?
Like it is priority to the best comics in the room. You have to be in the room by certain times.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the way the system's built is like we try to put on as many people as possible. We try to have double spots now, you know?
The double spots are kind of fun. I want to try that one time.
Man.
So that's 2 people go up together?
Yeah. So they each get a microphone. I don't know if that's important to point out.
Do they like put themselves up or you just put 2 random people together?
Whoever wants.
Ah.
So in Dream World, they ask us that they want to go up together.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is have you met a comic? They're all like wrestlers. They don't want to be a tag team.
Yeah.
The main event
champion of the world.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I get it.
Yeah. What if you just did like a wild card? It's like anyone who's willing to be one of these 2, put your name in and we'll pull 2.
The thing with what we're trying to do too is it's like it goes back to the value and the standard.
Right.
I'm not hating on anyone.
You want it to be a bit more polished.
Can be funny. It's just that's kind of where it becomes a gatekeep and an elitist thing, and it's not on purpose.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like there's a
no.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
Because
protecting the quality of your show.
You have to think about your audience.
Okay, my barkers aren't going to be great, so I don't know if you know what barking is. It's people outside.
Oh, I've seen
on
them.
The street
like I don't live too far, so
they hit you
I've gotten many a
personally.
flyer. Yeah.
So it's just like those are hungry kids. Like I have a co-op student who literally has that specific job, but it's just like so he gets a spot, and there's no disrespect to him. It's just he's definitely not the best comic in the room, right? And then you have the showrunner, who they're all incredible.
No,
but it's like there's enough amateur comedy already on the show.
Yeah.
You know, it's no disrespect to these guys. Some of our showrunners are becoming pros, but
I said to that co-op student who I really like. I love his energy. I don't like giving people advice, but I'm like, why don't you try not laughing after everything you say?
he told me he was very impressed.
Yeah, and I think it went a little bit better for him the next time out, you know. But I can understand that that's the nerves, you know, just getting up there and get relaxing.
That kid started comedy at 14, so it's like it's crazy. He could be terrible for 10 years.
Yeah,
still have it.
He probably will be.
Yeah.
You need to be.
And have a leg up
we were
over
talking about
everyone
this
else
beforehand.
starting.
We were talking about like proficiency in comedy? When did you feel comfortable? I said, 9 years in, I still don't feel that I'm speaking my own voice, that I'm proficient at comedy. And like someone like Louis C.K. always talks about the 20-year mark. You got to get to the 22-year mark, and then you start
you're forgetting
cooking.
some crazy stuff, and you like sports, and I don't know, you like stats, okay? So did you watch that new documentary on Netflix with Chris Rock and Kevin Hart, the headliners?
Yeah.
So there's this little key period between 19 or 21 and 23 where if you start something real young, you'll get real good at it. You're going to get like real good at like Taylor Tomlinson or whatever her name is. There's like there's comics that, yes, Louis C.K., but Louis C.K., if he started as young as he did, by 25 he was writing at SNL. He wasn't not funny. He wasn't not making money off comedy.
Right.
To be where Louis is and one of the greats and the Richard Pryor, the GOAT, the Mount Rushmore, get it.
But there are
Tyler could, in overnight, on his 22nd birthday,
of
become
course.
incredible.
Of
And
course.
it's just there's something about kids. They pick it up faster. Right now we have the advantage. When we started, I started at 27. You were what? You looked at that age, what, 24? 25? But no,
I always looked older than I was. Well, the one thing you have when you're into it later is life experience. You
Yes,
have
and that's
stuff
what
to
jokes
talk
are.
about, right?
Yes.
You know, and I think I've even had that conversation with your co-op student too. He goes, I haven't done anything.
What's his
And I'm
name?
like,
Or should
Tyler.
we?
Tyler.
Okay,
Tyler
sorry.
Risman. He's got a great joke about how he doesn't have any.
I thought you were just calling him co-op
Well,
student
you
over and
I
over
just call him
again,
co-op
right?
student.
You hadn't mentioned his name, so I didn't know if
I'm a big
we were
fan of him.
protecting his identity.
He's
Yeah,
becoming
I've
a
had
friend
some
of mine.
conversations with him.
It's just he's a child.
He's really sweet. Yeah. yeah.
I'm as close. Like I'm a 30-year-old man. I'm as close to an 18-year-old kid as I like. We'll play video games. We'll
Yeah.
smoke joints. But like at the end of the day, every comic, I don't know if you guys noticed this, comes with tremendous baggage that isn't my problem.
Have you ever gone back to jokes and like tried to rewrite them with a different perspective?
So I
or
want to
anything
talk
like
about
that?
the car accident. I used to talk about the car accident. I haven't.
I remember that.
So like yes and no. Like right now my set. So what I hate about comedy, if I'm going to complain, is when you hear Jews talk about being Jewish and people that talk about being in relationships. That's my whole act. That's everything I talk about. And I love my girlfriend and I love my heritage finally. You know,
Thanks
it
for the
sucks with
material.
war and shit. But like I want to write material. I want to like
Yeah.
observe and I want to. So it's like the car accident is virtually what made me funny. Like I've probably always been kind of funny, but like I got real funny after that dark shit.
Yeah.
Like real fucking whatever.
Yeah.
So it was like if I do write it, it's like my 50 Cent moment. I shot
yeah.
9 times or
Yeah.
so it was just this like this resurrection where it's weird because when I used to write when we met I don't know if I was still telling shitty puns but I was just like I wasn't David Green. I wasn't telling good puns. I was it just wasn't me. It was like I was trying to be like a 90s sitcom or like a 90s comic.
Right.
Or
Do you
now.
remember any of those puns?
Do you remember Blueberry? You have to remember that.
I do remember Blueberry. Yeah, I can't. What do you mean I can't lie? I remember
You can't
Blueberry.
not remember how bad. Like I got it. So this is how I know Ariel.
Barry is a person's name.
So I know Ariel. This is how I know Ariel's my friend, and I'll give Robert Cackham a shout out. This is the night I knew I was funny. I was headlining Oshawa, Jack's, whatever, Crazy Jack's, on my birthday, like right out of COVID. So if this is probably still 2020. So like 2021, whatever it was. Went to Crazy Jack's, and they told me the joke was trash. So to give you context, the joke was, and I'll do a quick version of that and then the version after. But the joke was that my dad's name's Barry and my mom's name's Barb, and he's got depression. So I'd be like, "Why so blueberry?" You know, and then he'd get angry, and I'd be like, "Why so raspberry?" And then my mom would be a woman and mean, and I'd be like, "Why so rude, Barb?" You know, like just stupid puns, and then funny-ish, but like I'm like. And also, my grandma.
Alicia likes him.
My grandma was alive back then too, right?
Maybe you can test material in front of Alicia.
So with my grandma,
If you want to laugh, then come to me.
when she passed, it was like before she passed, the whole thing was like, if she ever sees me live or her friends ever see me live, I don't want to be ashamed of the shit I'm saying. I don't know why. Maybe it was part of the self-sabotage or the journey, but I would just not want to, like, she was my everything, you know? And I didn't want her to know that I, like, say racist, bizarre,
Yeah.
crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm not saying it's racist, but you see, like, I'm a white, straight male, like, sort of. Like, you know? Like,
Yeah.
So I was always trying to make her proud. So when she died, and it was my first set without her, and I was headlining, and my two friends in the car, who at the time, Ariel's a phenomenal comedian at that time. He was a headlining or feature, and Cackham is one of the most raw, talented, funniest person off stage, and like is probably going to be the best ever, but we'll get there. So they told me my shit was terrible, and I got there that night, and it was like I was free telling my jokes, and I got to be like, well, my whole life, my dream was I wanted to write screenplays. And like the first screenplay I ever wrote was a kid's show. You know, I'm a little muffin, you know.
A blue?
No, it's called Raisin Bran. It's about my parents raising me. Name's Brandon.
Oh, God.
And then I got like and I was just like, I was talking about how like, and then one episode's about my dad's depression, dealing with his depression. One episode he gets angry. One episode I find that he does cocaine. And I'm like, why so many straws, Barry? You know? And then it's like every episode it comes out of the oven, you know, not because we're Jews, but like freshly baked, you know. And it was just like, it was me. It wasn't where I'm at now, but it was like, I was taking this joke I thought was funny, and I knew it was funny, but I wasn't being me. I was telling a joke. Like now I don't tell jokes, I tell stories or observations, but at the time I was telling joke, you know. I wasn't at 1,200 sets yet.
Yeah,
it was.
You had shtick though.
I had shtick.
Yeah, you had shtick.
Like, and I was the first.
And something clicked for you that night.
Well, it was just me being like, me. I was like, no, that means a lot to me. I guess I could talk about the cocaine now. I guess I can, like Bubby's never going to hear about this set anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Like she might be like, she might hear, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah. So it was just like, it was so freeing. And to have two people I respected in comedy that at the time, the biggest joke is that I was the worst of the three of us. And we started Bubby's Boys and I was the worst. And then to get there and that night be like, actually, I might be the best. And then they were like, you know what?
Great. I love that.
Do you think that helped you too? Like them saying that beforehand?
100%.
That you were like, oh,
well, this is what I wanted to say while you were while you were telling us that story. I'm so happy for you that you have people around you that will be honest with you.
You mean Ashley?
You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's so easy in this game to just big each other up and not get real, you know?
No one's ever going to make it that way, and I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Where every comedian wants to be either the only or the first to pop. But the reality of it is like, we're friends. If I catch your set and something's lame, it's my job as your friend to bust your balls
of course,
and tell you that
true.
sucks.
Yeah.
Because if I don't do that, like...
You're not going to get better.
Look at Patrice O'Neill, look at Bill Burr, look at Kevin Hart, all these guys that hung out with each other that all... I'm not saying about the money. Like, don't get me wrong, I love money. But I'm just saying if we're going to be the best we're ever going to be, we're not in competition with each other.
Oh,
Dan's
God, no.
Perspective,
Oh, God,
in
no.
my perspective, sure, we have middle-aged guys that smoke weed, but like, our audience is... It's just us being us, man. You don't need 10,000 people that really like your shit.
Oh my God! If you could get 10,000 people to give you
That's it.
$5 a year, $10 a year,
you're like,
you know
you're
what I
fine.
mean? Yeah.
Granted, obviously, it's a number, so you're going to keep wanting it to grow and think higher. But the reality of it is 10,000 people that really love you, that buy every Patreon, that buy every merch, that buy every.
Yeah.
It's just wild. So it's like, why wouldn't I tell you the truth?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I be like, damn, that sucked?
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you've seen my comedy or me. I like being a little sassy bitch. That's who I am. For years, like, I'm not a yes man, but I'm a people pleaser, or I was for a long time. You don't succeed as a people pleaser. You just won't. You got to learn how to say no. You got to learn how to
prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes make yourself the center of the story.
I've recently been agitated by a situation in my life, and you know, it's because I've had to stand strong. That there's agitation. I won't get into details about it though.
You can, if you
but
want.
I just remember being
Talk
like
about
in the
it
car
after.
driving somewhere, as I always am, and it's like really weighing on me. And you know, like, why can't I just have a simple life? And it just struck me. I don't know where this voice came from in my head, but I just said the sentence. You know, like, if you look at your life, and I think if anybody looked at their life, you only really make progress when you're agitating things. You know what I mean? When you're agitated, when you're out of pocket, if you will. So once I took it into that perspective, I was able to deal with it a lot better.
Yeah.
You know how easy it would be now to have like 40 minutes I'm proud of stand-up and just like for the next, whatever, I'm a 40-year-old man, for the next 20 years until I retire, just go around and tell the same fucking shit.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like you
couldn't.
could see why someone could fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Because compliance is like you got to agitate the system.
Yeah.
You got to want to grow.
Although I will say it's tough with having a full-time job. There's been Friday nights where I've shown up and I've like, oh, what was that new stuff I was going to do? Or I was going to try it. I'll just give them the classics.
Do you ever use it?
Huh?
Do you ever use it?
Use what?
Like, I'm not saying crowd work comedy is the way to go because you need jokes and crowd work, but like, you ever get angry and like you're allowed to be in your mood.
Yeah.
Feel your feelings
Yeah,
if you
you're
do
allowed to
it.
feel
I don't want to go up and yell at the audience. In terms of
you can
crowd
yell at
work,
yourself. You can yell like you don't have to. You've seen. I don't do it so much anymore, but like
Yeah.
I'll kick a stool. I'll fucking let people know how I feel.
Or commiserate. Get the audience to commiserate
although,
with you.
yeah, true. There have
There's
been a
no
couple
rules.
occasions where I've been angry on stage, and I don't want to say it's worked, but it's certainly you can see the
I've seen you
change.
mad. For sure. Work.
I know, but I'm trying to not be mad. No, I have a lot of fun there. I like the audience that you guys get in there. I think the shape of the room and the fact you've invested in a little bit, you know.
We didn't take any money at first. We just put all money back in.
Yeah,
like that's
yeah.
the whole. Like we kind of have it's a build as you grow, but like for us, it's you can't have. Like, I don't know if you ever saw it. It was like hospital walls. Like it was already,
Yeah.
Oh,
like-
God.
Yeah, it was like you can't have this, and then it's back
Yeah.
room. There needs to be a back room, so
Yeah.
we built a wall.
The doctor
Yeah.
will see you
Oh,
now.
like-
Yeah.
As an audience member, I really love that room. It's like
you.
the perfect size. I don't know. It's set up really well, and I love the mural.
You
I
guys
think
get why
it's
it's a gym.
yeah,
Yeah, where it's
yeah.
like hopefully comedians respect it and give you guys everything they can.
Yeah.
but like
And I also like it from that perspective of like you kind of know what you're going to expect. It's like it has its own kind of like brand like
vibe.
that or like whatever that
Yeah.
that's the expectation. The expectation is set. You're going to go there. You're going to see people working out some like new stuff or like you're not going to maybe they're not all going to be bangers maybe.
Well, what we're trying to do is, again, I don't. If you've never been to Backroom, you want to know more. We're in New York. You can't see the air quotes. We're in New York. You still can't see the air quotes. We're in New York in air quotes or parentheses. That's not probably not. That's the word. But style comedy club where we try to give you more acts that do less time.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, if someone's doing poorly, they're not up very long. And
Yeah.
if someone's doing well, like the only reason I went on tour. Or when I'm doing this is because the most we give is 10 minutes. Me and Ariel are jerks. We'll do 15, but no one's doing more than 15 at Backroom. Like
Yeah.
you can rent out. We have these new things with people where it's not a rent out, but like a Friday show, we can do a split and we're on the show. And you, if you're working on something, sure. But like at our regular shows and when they're run properly, no one's doing more than 10 minutes. My favorite club of them all is the Corner Comedy Club. That's the one me and Ariel based ourselves off of.
Right.
That's where I met Ariel. Like, you know, like not like we became friends. I already met him before.
Yeah.
But it was like the Corner. I don't know if you guys have been, you've been there. I don't know if
Yeah.
That's a Toronto one.
the Toronto one. I honestly recommend going. What they do, which is cool, is they give you like 4 comics and a guest spot, but it's like pros. It's like the
Nice.
best
Yeah.
Toronto has to
I
offer
really like the
right
new
now.
location too. It just to me
Yeah.
it seems it's a bit bigger, a more sustainable business model.
Badass.
But it's perfect. Low
It's a speakeasy.
ceilings. Yeah, it's
So
got
if
that
you don't know
speakeasy
it's
vibe.
there, it's in an alley. Like literally like a door that you have to have someone open it for you.
Nice.
So back coolest part as a
Yeah.
comedian, it's in the alley of Yuck Yucks.
Ooh.
So you want to go for like it's just so cool that he's in the backyard. It's just
Yeah.
so cool. And
Yeah.
it's just the vibe. Like it feels like a Tarantino movie. It's just the best. And
Yeah.
then for there, it's just like again they do have that opportunity. You can go on the last Tuesday of the month. They have an amateur night where the owner's there. He'll see you. If he likes you, he's given so many people opportunities.
Yeah.
He pays comics. Like, it's really cool.
How long has it been open for?
A long time at this
Long
point.
time,
Maybe
yeah.
not, like,
I think just before the pandemic, there was a second one.
there was 2. Well, there was,
there was one out in the east.
there was
and-
one at the old Speaker's Corner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
His first location.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, but
never
I
been
like
down
the
to
new
that area.
location. I like the redness of the club.
Comedy bar is cool, but it's one of those things where it's like I'm not going to say inconsistent is the word, but it's different producers.
Yeah,
So
it's
as, like,
different
an
people
audience
like
member-
booking in shows.
Yeah, so you
right?
don't know what you're
yeah.
gonna get.
Yeah,
it's one of those
exactly.
things where you can either really, really like something and look out for them, or you just go to comedy bar and no matter what your opinion is, hopefully it lines up.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah,
comedy's all
like
perspective.
see what's
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah,
Like, shit,
it's a
the
bit of
rooms,
it's a
though, like, I
wild
like-
card. You
I
never
like-
know what it's gonna be.
I like the cabaret. I was there recently, and there was a lot of people, and I love the way the sound hits you when you get a laugh at the cabaret room and the main room.
Yeah, both, yeah.
Because the main room is super, super thin but long. So, like, if there's 60, 70 people facing you and they like your joke, that just hits you in the face. It almost knocks you over. It's
Well, they're
amazing.
built for comedy, these places. Like comedy bar,
Yeah.
even comedy bar second location.
Well, I'm giving the acoustics 5 stars, is what I'm saying.
Just a good look. Like it's very so in Hamilton. Like it's the reason I was such a jerk when you told me about a second comedy club I've been telling people that what I do here would be impossible back home. It's
Right.
Well, first of all, I'm
Because
not
there's no audience, or because of there's no comics?
Just because I'm fortunate where it's like I'm in Toronto now. With Toronto,
Yeah.
there's so much going on.
Yeah, and you're in such a good spot
Oh my
too.
God, Hamilton, 600,000 people. What's Toronto? 15 million?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, like
and Toronto's
it's
not
just
even as good as
economy
the
of
States.
scale. That's something that's always blown my mind about
wild.
Hamilton. That there's 5 professional comedians living in Hamilton, right? Or at least there was
Yeah,
at one
like
time.
there's so much room for growth there.
I agree with that.
Well,
I
that's
agree
why
with
we're
that.
both. I don't know if you've seen Dan in my comedy, but I agree. And without Hamilton, I don't think we'd be this funny.
Yeah.
No, I like I said at the start of this adventure we've been on and lovely conversation. When I came in, it was full of grinders. You know, it was full of
Well,
grinders.
look at those names you mentioned. You
Yeah.
got AJ Bate, you got the Moses, you got
Yeah.
Brandon Sobel,
The Brandon
Let's throw out
Sobels,
the
Black Zeus, yeah.
You got the time where it was like Levity had
Joe Botello.
Levity had its like its group. Like yeah, people get in, yeah, they give opportunities. I'm not hating on that.
No.
But with us, we were kind of like the not oddballs, but we weren't getting their stage time. We needed to find our own.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
for me, I went back to school and tried some stuff and fell into a drug problem. But like for those guys, they worked really hard. And like when I would come out and do shows and we would go to that Fortino's parking lot.
Yeah.
Because I now remember outside the McDonald's.
Yeah.
It was like a gaggle. And when they, like, it was nice to see that you can't do shit alone. Like there are those sociopaths out there that understand that you're in this by yourself and don't need anyone. But like, why would there be so many other people on the planet?
Yeah.
If the goal was to do it solo. So
Yeah.
it's all very conflicting. I
Yeah.
once did mushrooms, and whenever I was like, I was sleeping on mushrooms, and whenever I would dream that it was the whole point of life was to do it just myself, Brandon. It was like this rainbow road, colorful, fun time. And then whenever I was like, but you need other people involved, it was this gloomy, sad. It was other people. I don't know. You got to line yourself with like-minded individuals. Like the reason me and Ariel work.
Yeah. Your
we weren't best
environment
friends
matters.
before. 100%.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
actually been thinking about this a lot lately, about how important it is kind of to like be friends, or how much comedy grows in friendships. Like all of the people I grew up with are really funny, and I've known them for like 20 years now, and it's like I know them so well, I know what will get them. And I also like I
your
trust them
audience.
so much that I don't
vulnerable.
Yeah, and I
And
don't
you're
fear
confident.
rejection around them.
So comedy, the more you do it, it's like you're having fun. If you ask someone why they're not having if they had a bad set, I'll tell you why they had a bad set.
Yeah.
A, they didn't have fun, or B, they were either more confident or more vulnerable. They weren't equally balanced at both.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're with your core group of friends,
Yeah.
you're hopefully all 3 of those things are being checked off.
Yeah.
You're comfortable enough to be vulnerable, but you're confident because they're your friends.
Yeah.
And you're also having the time of your life.
Yeah,
I
and it's
also
like
think-
a safe space, and you can just build
They're all
on
safe
it
spaces.
all.
As long as you
and-
don't say anything
yeah.
with intent, as long as there's no hate in your speech.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah,
That's the one rule.
Or it's
in our
just like
club.
the feeling of safety that you have there.
That's
Not
what-
that it
but
necessarily.
you're saying
Yeah.
So that's where comedy differs. We're like for us versus Ashley, okay, my girlfriend. And I hate that I'm talking about this on this podcast. Is the funniest person I've ever met in my
Yeah.
entire life. It
Yeah.
kills me. I've seen her in.
I've heard
parties.
many comics say that about their partners.
It's wild. She
Yeah.
literally, like, I've been having a dinner party with her, and in the room, she gets an applause break. There's
Yeah.
like 20 people standing around her, and she's just like murdering.
Dude, I'd break up with her on the spot.
Well, no, because I need someone to challenge.
I think
me,
you
and
need to go to therapy, or you can just die alone.
So when you see that, it's just like, well, one night I brought her on stage with me, and we did doubles. And she immediately didn't take her coat off, didn't take off her purse, set herself up to not have fun. So did she get laughs? Sure. But instead
Yeah.
of like having fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she like, and then at one point, instead of making a joke, she like commented on my height, and it was obviously funny. But now the audience thinks you're too confident and not vulnerable, and
Right.
you're not having fun. And
Yeah.
it's just like the funniest person I know. Literally, this should be the easiest thing for her.
Yeah.
I've seen her like razzle dazzle so many people.
Yeah.
And this, and it's just wild. So it's just, that's like, comedy's a weird one. It's like, for us,
Yeah.
me and Dan are special. We can talk to anyone. We're salesmen. We're
Yeah.
comedians. We're not doing jokes. We're
Yeah.
selling you jokes.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And you're good
That's
at
right.
connecting with people.
So, but
like
the-
you're connecting with the You're good at connecting with the audience.
But the two of
Both
us, like,
you.
that's when you meet other comics, like I'm sure you have, there's some that are very introverted. There are some that, like, I don't know, it must be how funny they are. Like, how do they get booked? It's socially awkward being in a room with this person.
yeah.
And then
Could
you have
I
the other
come to your show?
comments or comedians that you were talking about earlier that are like, they're not comedians. They're like, just look chasing, and I'm guilty of this when I started, just chasing lifestyle.
Yeah.
They're just chasing, like, I'm the best in the world. My life's fixed. And it's like, no, none of that's real.
None of that works. That's the other thing, though, that you talk about fun. One of the other things I learned well on in our little Hamilton scene, because of some of the people that were in there, and I'm not going to drop names, but I'd be like, if comedy makes me that miserable, I have to quit comedy. Like, if I ever go to the club and it's not the best time, you know what I mean? Then it's time to not be in. I don't want it to do that to me.
Hamilton's
when you see
different, though. It's going to change, because you can see it's changed. But like Hamilton, it almost feels like people there are content just being the best in Hamilton.
Yeah.
It feels like, and
anyone else moves away. Like,
when I just got a very good opportunity. I wasn't even doing comedy when I moved here. I was literally like, I just finished, so I couldn't sell weed anymore. You know, weed was legal.
that career was done.
I probably could have sold it legally, but was that fun? Is there money to be made like that? Come on. And then, so I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I started selling credit cards, commission only. I was really good at it. Like, really, like, I like prosciutto. I needed a job. You know, with my credentials, it was like, okay, I can be a waiter. Like, anything else would have gone in the way of comedy. And I knew I wanted to get back into comedy. And, like, I didn't know I was joining a cult. I thought I was, like, doing a sales job. I didn't know it was going to require team events and early mornings and training. Like, I thought it was just what it advertised, but I was really good at it. And I, like, did develop a drug problem, but I did learn that I'm a great salesman. And I started, like, believing in myself. And then when I moved to Toronto, because, long story short, I don't know what it was. I was just like, I don't want to sell. I guess my brother called me and was like, hey, I'm moving in with my husband. We have a house. You get first dibs in my apartment, rent control.
Nice.
So it's like I'm paying Hamilton rent Toronto.
Ooh,
so I'm
nice.
in.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And it was Game 5 of Milwaukee versus Toronto 2019 when we won. And Dan knows I love basketball.
Yeah.
So I was like, they're going to win. Like, this
That is correct, Alicia. He loves basketball.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say he loves black men. That's what I thought he was going to say. I love white men too, okay? So relax. But so it was just, I had this opportunity. And I moved here. And then Ariel saw the lifestyle I was living. And he was like, none of these people are your real friends. And then I got a job selling credit cards here, but it wasn't commission only. It was benefits. And it was like a real job. So I was getting paid. I was done at 6. So I was like, oh shit. Latest I would work is 8. So I would start going to the corner. I was just starting. I one day messaged, and I'm not going to say his name online or on here, but I was like, hey, can I grab weed? And he's like, yeah, meet me at the Corner Comedy Club. And I get there, and he's like, do you want a set? And I was like, what? Like, I moved to Toronto in like June. It's now October. And I was like, well, do I want a set? Like, maybe. And then I did it, and I fucking loved it. And I got like, I was instantly
back in it.
not
This is
even
what's
out
been
of
missing.
it, just like so in, like. Now I was just walking home from work, just like walking to the corner every day on the week. On the weekend, when I stopped partying and stopped like living that life, I started doing shows with Ariel, and then
Yeah.
you know,
it
now we're
all
here.
grew from there.
Okay.
Cool.
Right, you
We
guys
talked
just
a little bit, but I got one last chunk.
First of all,
I
you
want
guys
to
are
say.
awesome. I want to say thanks.
This has been good fun,
Thanks
hasn't
for
it?
joining
I
us.
want us to get.
Yeah, we should
no
do this
problem.
without the microphones more often.
You come to the club. Bring.
I know,
Yeah,
but we
I
sit and we
always
talk
have
for
fun
10
when I'm
minutes, and then we get nervous before we go up, and then it's just all
Do you
about
get
me.
nervous?
No, of course I get
I have
nervous.
to pee every time. I get nervous.
Do you get a pee? Oh, no, I don't do the pee,
And
but
nervous
For the
bladder.
pod, I had to use the washroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what I want to talk about. I had a showcase in December,
Oh, okay.
and the
Should've
advice,
known. You wanted
the
to talk
advice
about
that
how
was
great
got.
you are.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
this makes you look good. Trust me. It kind of backs up everything you've said by way of presenting yourself. There is the proof. So I had the showcase, and the advice was you need to get to Toronto more. Right,
So
like
wait, to back up your audience, you were talking to Mark Breslin, the owner of Yuck Yucks.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I don't know if you're allowed to talk about this, but
Well,
when you say showcase,
I didn't want to. I
fill
don't
them
like
in.
dropping names.
You're really
'cause
good.
It hasn't really done me well.
Daniel, look at my eyes.
Yeah.
You're very good at stand-up comedy.
I know that.
You're very.
I know that.
You're
Thank
a
you.
great host, and it's
Yeah.
a pleasure every time you come.
Why do I
through.
feel like I'm
I
in
don't
the
know that
Goodwill
you're good
Hunting
at
when he's
playing
like,
coy,
it's not your
though."
fault. It's not your fault.
Am I Matt Damon in this?
No, in that scenario, you're Robbie Williams.
I'll take
I know
that too.
I'm good at
You
comedy.
haven't
It's
seen
not.
my
It's not.
book. I'm reading Robin right now.
Are you? Oh, good man. Good man. So listen, anyways, the advice was to get to Toronto more. So I'm a salesman, Brandon. I'm going to use that hook to reach out to producers in Toronto, right? I reached out to 11 people in one day. 9 of them made it all about them. 2 of them, one of them being you, wrote back, that's fantastic. I'll get you on as soon as I can.
Do you think comedy producers are going to support their dream of you showcasing your acts?
Well,
I'm not like what do you
I think it's clear after this conversation that no, that was a bit naive.
I'm not
of me.
saying don't make friends with people,
But-
I'm just saying that like the same people that tell you your set's great but don't book you, come on down to back room. I'll tell you you're terrible, and I'll give you a chance.
Yeah. I don't think that's what I want either.
Real talk. Did you hear? So I did.
No, but that was a compliment to you.
I'm
Is
telling
what I'm
you,
trying to say. That you're genuine in your desire.
They can't see me roll my eyes aggressively at you. Real talk. I had a showcase for Breslin right after the car accident.
Right.
Okay. First showcase. His advice to me: you're not like Hamilton's full. You got to go to Toronto.
Yeah.
And then like, as a Jewish guy, like he was just like, come on, you know.
Yeah.
And it took like 8-9 years to follow his advice, and it was the best advice
But
he
it's
ever
not.
gave
It's
me.
not just his advice. When Jason Rouse came back
When was
to
the
Hamilton,
showcase?
it was early December.
Because Toronto's changed, man. Toronto's like, when he said it originally to me, I think he meant like there's opportunities to get more stage time.
Yeah,
But for
yeah.
you, I think he means there's opportunities for you to get like, there's Corner, there's him.
Yeah.
Like you're funny.
Yeah.
Like you're already a professional. Like you're a professional comedian.
I'm a working
done.
comedian.
Ugh, I've fucking been so nice to you this
There's
whole time.
just like an action. There's just more audience here too
There's more
compared to
people.
Hamilton. Like there's
Yeah,
so
there's more
many more
opportunity.
people.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in Hamilton you're performing to the same people
100%.
every month.
And you said you
Yeah.
only get 5 sets at best a week in Hamilton.
Yeah,
That's in all the
You don't
shows
have to
live.
sell me on the idea. All
but
you got to
I-
do is lower the price of gas. All right. Well, that was fun. What an interview. Fantastic. We're back with a segment called Alicia Turns Us On, a returning segment. The last time we looked at a documentary and the life of Mr. Dress Up, a Canadian Idol. Alicia, what have you got for us this time?
I have another maybe kind of serious recommendation.
Yeah.
It's a show called We're Here. It's on HBO.
Oh, right. I love anything on HBO. It's going to be great. The Wire. I don't have Crave at the moment, but the place I'm staying at for my summer holiday, and that's the thing I love about it the most, is access to Crave. Yeah.
Well, that's nice, but this isn't how much Dan loves Crave and HBO. But
That's fair enough. That's not what the segment's called, is it?
I do also want to give out a shout out to Crave, though, because they create lots of Canadian content, and that's great. And I also just resubscribed to Crave lately.
Did you?
So if any of my brothers are listening, by the way, you can
No.
log back in to Crave.
But I'm your brother. I'm the one who needs access. I crave the Crave.
I mean, everybody go buy your own subscription so that we can have more Canadian content. Anyway,
That's exactly what we'd like to promote here on the podcast.
And I'm
yeah.
also talking about an American show.
Right,
But
so-
there is a Canadian star this season.
Oh, good. And the
So-
show is called We're Here.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the best way to describe it is that it's like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, but with drag queens.
Okay.
So it's like, this is the 4th season. So it's not like this is some like hidden gem, but I do think that more people should be watching it.
Right.
Because what I think it does a really good job of is like, it's just wild. First of all, I personally think it's just wildly entertaining. Like it's funny. I think we eventually will talk about it on a future interview, but I just think drag is like wildly entertaining. But then it's also a bit serious. It's informative. It's educational. And I think it's a good way for people who don't really, maybe people who like don't really quite understand like LGBTQ stuff, but want to a bit more. It's a really accessible way to learn things.
Oh, okay.
And like maybe get some questions answered that you wouldn't feel comfortable asking people in person.
Right. Or
So it's
they
good for
wouldn't
that
be
and then a bunch of other
comfortable
shit too.
Answering. Well, okay, give me the 30-second elevator pitch. What am I going to see if I crack on to the first episode of season 1?
Okay, so you'll see some high quality professional RuPaul's drag queen girls going into tiny little conservative American towns.
Right.
Firstly, in full drag, like places where they could fully like get shot.
Yeah.
Show up, go walk around fucking, oops, I swore. Walk around City Hall like in full drag. And then so they meet up with people in the community and find, so in drag, for people who don't know, there is a culture of like drag families where the first drag queen to help you get into drag becomes your drag mother. So there's drag mothers and drag daughters or drag sons.
I think
and
I had an inkling of this part of the culture. Yeah.
Yeah. So these world-class drag queens go into these tiny towns, find drag babies, and then put on a show for the town. So they're going into these like places where that's why the show is called We're Here, places where there are queer people, but who maybe don't have even a gay club to go to because it's so conservative.
Right.
That like for them to be living out and like open is sometimes very dangerous. So they're kind of going into these towns and showing like there is a community here. Mm-hmm. And so it's not just them going in to put on these shows, but the shows are always so good. Like on one of the first seasons, so a reveal in drag is when something kind of like unexpected happens. Usually it has to do with like a wardrobe, like someone will like rip off a dress and it becomes a skirt, and that's a reveal. Right. So there was a reveal where Bob the drag queen had this huge wig. Turns out there was a full human up there halfway through. And I think it turned out it was like Bob the drag queen's like niece or something. Hops off and continues doing a performance with her. Crazy. That is insane. I hope that won an award. Well, actually. Right. This show has won a Peabody-award. Oh. But not that particular act. No. If they're ever this side of the bar, I would book that act. I would do. I'd be like this. Watch this part. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, so great. The first 3 seasons there was a different cast, and I guess I should also address like there were some sexual assault allegations against Shangela, one of the main cast, who was like one of the OG RuPaul girls from like season 3 or 4. So that's really upsetting. So they have a whole new cast, one of whom is Canada's own Priyanka, Toronto's own Priyanka. Right. Who the first time I actually saw her was in Hamilton at Absinthe. Sounds about right. Yeah. And there is definitely a shift in tone this season. Absinthe, by the way, is a steakhouse now. Really? Yeah. Well, did they move to a second? For those who are unaware, Absinthe was like a punk bar in Hamilton. Yeah, punk bar / nightclub. They used to have bands and stuff. It was a really cool spot. Yeah. It was a cool venue. Mm-hmm. I think they've moved. I think they still exist. I just don't know where. Well, we'll look that up. We'll get the researchers on that. Yeah. So it's Priyanka, Sasha Velour, Jada Essence Hall, and Latrice Royale. Right. And so Sasha Velour is a former winner, and she's very scholarly and academic. She was like a Rhodes Scholar or something like that. Right. So they go into... So since the show started pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, there are all of these anti-drag laws that are popping up in all these small little conservative towns. Right. So some of these episodes are them going into these city council meetings, like town hall meetings, and like trying, because like they literally like can't find venues to put on a show because no one will let them, or like they're worried that if they put on a show, the cops might get called. Right. So you think it's more politicized, more polarized now than it would have been in season 1? Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like polarized. Like I think they do a really good job of showing what the opposing side is saying. Right. Like they have a whole episode. So they go to the city hall meeting. There's like a teenager there like saying all this really hateful, in my opinion, hateful shit. Right. And her dad is like cheering her on, like, because they're there in full drag. These drag queens are there in full drag watching this meeting happening. Yeah. And the dad is just like, yeah, look at that. Like, burn on you. Listen to what my 14-year-old daughter just said. And then so the producers say that like the family is willing to talk to them afterwards. So they go and they like have a conversation with them. Yeah. And they like show them. And I don't think they're portraying them poorly. Like they're really showing just like, you know, like a lot of these things. Yeah. A lot of these things try to make people look stupid when they say these things. Mm-hmm. But I think they do a good job of like respectfully showing what they're saying. Interesting. So yeah, and I think it's just it's also kind of like showing a lot of like community organizing, like getting people together. It's not just gay people or trans people or queer people that they're putting in drag. Sometimes their drag daughters are allies, like
Right.
parents of kids who've come
Well, that's
out
what I
as
was going to
trans
ask. It
and-
seems like, because it's a reality show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reality
Well,
contest show.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a
Peabody-award winning reality show. If only
Fair
people
enough.
could see how much
You
I
could-
just pointed at you.
I know,
finger-wagged
but
so
I
hard.
think the audience could hear the contempt in my voice, right? And I'm not as political as I used to be about reality shows. They used to, like, they're awful. Some of them are not very well done,
Yes.
right? And you're like,
Yes.
no one would ever behave
of
that
them,
way,
yeah.
right?
But
I do. I'm
still
guilty.
entertaining.
It is. I'm guilty of. I don't watch whole episodes, but you can find Gordon Ramsay. There was a series where he would sit in the restaurant and try the food, and you knew it was awful if you made the waiter taste it. Taste that.
Oh man,
Yeah,
no one can
yeah.
insult like him.
Yeah,
like
he's-
no one can make you feel
Yeah,
like
he
shit
sent
like
back the
Gordon Ramsay.
prawns.
Oh man,
Yeah, talk about bad reality. It's the same thing every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Defrosted. That's not Gordon Ramsay accent. But so the show that we are here to discuss on Alicia Turns Us On is called You're Over There, and you can catch it.
We're here.
We're here.
We're
okay,
here.
we're here. And it's on HBO/Crave.
Yes, you can watch it.
And get your Crave legally. Get your HBO legally so that one day they can produce this podcast. I don't want to leave it on that note, but that was a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, and a big shout out to the judge again
Yes.
on Augusta in Hamilton. That's where we're beaming in from for this recording. And
Very kindly hosting us again.
yeah, do try the chicken tikka masala poutine. Because if you don't think races should mix, you haven't tried the tikka. Tikka.
Boy. I'm just gonna let that be.
No, I'm saying you couldn't be against race mixing if you'd had a shawarma pizza or the chicken tikka masala poutine. People should mix, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, food
I love
fusion. It'll bring
I
the world
love
together.
Food fusion, yeah.
Yeah.
Food fusion. Where
Anyways,
can they find us on the socials? Sorry, Alicia, I wanted to add something there.
I was just going to say you can find us. I was going to cue to you not remembering that you don't remember our handles. But it's
I do. Ready
almost-
for this? Are you ready for this? It's Instagram. It's at Let's Try Again Next Time. No. At the Almost There.
Nope.
No.
At Almost There CA.
Almost There CA on the Instagram, Facebook, the Almost There podcast. And that's
Find
how
us
you
on
find us.
Spotify,
And
Apple Podcasts.
indeed. And thank you so much for listening.